Good evening and welcome everyone to Money 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 on Soul Sisters 10X. It is Friday, July the 5th, 2024. Hope everyone is doing well and it's glad to be back here with you again on another Friday night. Okay, we're going to jump right into it. I wanted to clarify something because I did get a question last week. We were talking about debt consolidation, and it was a question was asked, and I didn't mention it, so I want to make sure I mention it on tonight before we move forward. The question was, when you have debt consolidation, and you consolidate your credit cards, does that mean that you have to get rid of your credit cards? No, that does not mean that you need to cut them up or you get rid of them, close those accounts. When people usually consolidate their credit cards, they're taking it either from one credit card to another one with zero interest rate. So they're just gathering all the credit cards they have, putting it on one with a 0% interest rate for a certain period of time. Or they're taking out a personal loan, 401k, borrow loan, whatever the case might be, to pay off that credit card. You do not have to get rid of that credit card. But what you want to do is make sure that you discipline yourself and not use that credit card. Don't want to create more debt. You don't want to go back into getting into it again, that you in the same spot that you were already previously in. Okay, so you want to make sure that you don't create the same habits that you had, and that you continue to work on being debt free by not creating more debt. Okay, so that again, debt consolidation is good. You don't need them. I think I would advise you to put them away, put them in a safe deposit box. Don't carry them with you every day. Don't have easy access to those credit cards, and that way you won't be easily enticed to use them. Okay, and that way you'll be able to pay down that debt. All right, so tonight we're going to move forward. I think I talked last week and said tonight I was going to talk about being pre-approved for a credit card or something like that, and then or pre-qualification, and there's a little difference between two of them. Okay, pre-approval, a lot of us, probably millions and millions of people a day get a pre-approval. Praise the Lord, Sister Carol, how are you? Get a pre-approval for a credit card in the mail. I mentioned numerous of times I get one, at least one a week, telling me that I've been pre-approved to receive a credit card. Okay, so there's pre-approval and pre-qualified. So I just want to go over what it is. When you've been pre-approved for a credit card, it means you've been pre-screened by specific criteria, including your credit and payment history. Lenders pre screen consumers by requesting a soft inquiry to check your credit and determine who qualifies. Um, so, so when you get those, I think I mentioned American Express. I don't have American Express credit card. I get pre-approval letters all the time telling me that I'm pre-approved to get a credit card through American Express. So what does that mean? That means that they've done a soft inquiry, meaning I did not give them my social security number, but they have access, all these banks, all these different to the three credit bureaus that we use, the Equifax, well, I can't think of them now, TransUnion, I forget the third one, but they have access to that, so they'll be able to look at that, and they'll be able to look and see what your credit and payment history is. So that's what they call a soft look at it. They're not going through, they're not scanning. It won't cost you any points on your credit score. Okay. It becomes an inquiry, a solid inquiry, when they go ahead and run your social security number. Then they're looking for it. So that's what a pre approval for a credit card is. They base it on the facts that you, based on these factors, you may be pre-approved for an offer. You might receive these offers from credit card issuers that have already had an account with, that you've had an account with, or from affiliated partners. So when I was looking this up, what does that mean? So if you have a Capital One credit card, okay, and you do great with it. You're under 30% of usage on it. You don't have overdraft fees. You pay it on time. All this other good stuff. They might send you another application in the mail telling you that you are pre-approved for a different type of credit card. The same company, okay, but it may come with different rewards, maybe 0% interest rate for a longer time. It could have flyer miles on it. I see a lot of them now are doing when you spend a certain amount, or if you do a cash advance for a certain amount, they call what they call it cash back, and they'll give you some money towards that. Flyer miles sounds great, and I've used it myself. You really got to dig into that to see which credit card is better than others. Some are better than others when they offer you points for every dollar, whatever you use to be able to book a flight somewhere. Okay, so that's what they do. That's when you get all these in the mail. That's because you've been pre-approved. Again, because they do what is called a soft inquiry, and they're looking into your payment history, your usage. They pretty much have a good idea of your aware about what your credit score might be. Okay, because if you're not in that good area that they're looking at, they won't send you to pre-approvals. Okay, so there's pre-approval. Then there's something that's called pre-qualified. Okay, and being pre-qualified is a little bit different. So pre-qualified for a card indicates that you have made the first request and reached out to the credit card company to see if you might be approved for the card you're interested in. Okay, so pre-approval is when the company sends you something saying, okay, we've done this soft inquiry on you and you've been pre-approved. Something to be pre-qualified, you're actually looking into it to see if that you can get a loan or a mortgage or whatever the case might be. When that happens, when you go for a pre-qualification, then your number, the credit card issuer may then look at your financial profile and show your credit cards and offers that you might qualify for if you apply. It's not guaranteed, but it's a good sign. Okay, so they might look deeper into it because you're reaching out to them. I'll give you an example of that. Sometimes I get update of my credit cards that I already have, right? And they say, oh, have your financial situation changed? Meaning, did your income increase? Are you getting more pay? Maybe you got a raise over a year or two. So they're looking at that to see if you pre-qualify so they can up your amount of what they put on your credit card. So if I have a $5,000 credit card with Capital One and they send me a letter saying, hey, has your income changed? And I got a $10,000 raise. They may send me a letter back saying, oh, if we have approved you or you're pre-qualified for your that $5,000 now to become $10,000. Okay, so they're looking into what you have. Sometimes you might reach out. So pre-qualify. I'll use mortgage for an example. When I went to go buy my home, I reached out to a mortgage group to get a pre-qualifying letter. So I went in and said, okay, here's my income, here's all my information. How much do I, am I qualified to get for a mortgage? And they sent me some information on what they were doing. And then I went ahead and said, okay, I want to do that. Then they ran my credit score and told me how much I was allowed to take out for a mortgage. So they sent me actually, praise the Lord, sister, emailed it to me, so I was able to print it out right then and there of a pre-qualified letter. This is a pre-approved. She's approved for this amount of money for her mortgage. So I was able to give it to the realtor, and we went from there to be able to find my home. Praise the Lord, Sister Fields. All right. So when you pre-qualify is when you reach out to the company. A pre-approval is when the company is trying to entice you. And when I say company, I mean banks, institutions, people wanting to do businesses with you. Okay. Now be careful because you get these pre-approvals in the mail. do not just go for them and say, hey, I can get another credit card and do it, because it's just a pre-approval. Okay. So it has cost you no points on your credit card. But every time you go in there and they run your social security number to see where you stand, then that might cost you some, and that's not a might, it will cost you some points on your credit score. Okay. So be very, very careful. Now, with the pre-qualified, same thing. A lot of, I was speaking briefly last week about, us thinking that we couldn't get mortgages, we can't afford it, and we wouldn't qualify for a loan. This is when you would reach out to your institution. I would suggest going to the bank that you use. If you're with a credit union, if you're with a bank, and go to and ask them, do I pre-qualify? Okay. Again, they can do a soft look at your credit card or at your credit score. They don't need to go into all of it. You're not authorizing them to look it up. They're not actually running your numbers. Okay. But they can actually see what your payment history is, your credit history. They can get a small glimpse of it, and they may, hey, yes, you will qualify for X amount of dollars. Okay. And that's great. And if they do it and you qualify X amount of dollars, that's great. If you want to go ahead and say, all right, let's do it. And then they'll run it to make sure. And then you'll get a letter saying that you are approved. Okay. If you're not quite there yet, you reached out to them and they said, well, hey, you qualify for this amount, but you actually want or need more or think you can afford more, whatever the case might be. That's when you're going to ask the institution to help you to be able to figure out what you need to do to make that a bigger number. Okay. Again, they will help you look into it. They may ask to go ahead and run your credits, your social security number, so they can get the full view of it. Okay. Or they may be able to see some things on it, or they may suggest to you, go back and check your credit score. You may have an outstanding debt or bill that you didn't know about. Praise the Lord, Sister Larissa. You may have an outstanding bill or something that you don't know about from years ago. Something you thought you closed wasn't closed. It could be a medical bill, whatever the case might be. Okay. So you would go back and take a look at that, whatever they tell you, and try to get that straightened out. And again, it won't cost you anything, and it didn't cost you any points on your credit score. All right. So this is to see if you pre-qualify. A lot of institutions and stuff do it right online. Rocket Mortgage comes to my mind because I see a lot of commercials for Rocket Mortgage on TV. Okay. And it's very simple. You go in there, just put in your information, and you're just asking, click on that key, that little button. I want to see if I am pre-qualified to get a mortgage, to get a loan, whatever the case might be from you. And they can tell you within minutes if you pre-qualify for it or not. And again, that's not pre-approved. Okay. There's a difference between pre-qualifying for something and pre-approving, being pre-approved for it. Okay. So they'll be able to tell you if you are or not. And if you're not, again, that's when you need to do your research, figure out what you need to move forward. All right. So pre-approval is the processes are a little bit different. Pre-approval offers are different because lenders already have the information they need. Pre-approval is when you get that little envelope in the mail from American Express or Chase Bank, Citibank, saying, hey, you're pre-approved for this credit card. They already have an idea of what your payment history, what your credit is, what kind of risk they are taking with you. Okay. It's just a pre-approval. That does not mean that you've been approved. All right. Even people with low credit scores, even people with debt sometimes get these flyers, envelopes, whatever the case might be, in the mail. They would be pre-approved for a what was, oh Lord, it's not coming to me. They could be, you've been pre-approved for a secured credit card. Okay. So even people with that, yes, because they know the risk they would be taking. And why do they do that? Because they know if they can help you, if they pre-approve you for a secure credit card of $500 means that you got to give them $500 up front. Okay. They know that you may be high risk. And if you're not doing the right thing, then you're going to wind up owing them more money. So it's kind of a trick tactic. So if I had a secure credit card and my limit was $500 and I went to Target and I spent $1,000 and they took my $500, now I owe them $500, right? Because it's a secure credit card and I'm late on my payments. I missed a payment, whatnot. I'm paying them fees, different fees and stuff. And now that they can actually gain more money from you. So be careful. There are secure credit cards that won't allow you to go over that limit, and you can design it that way. So if I have a secure credit card and I have $500 on it and I want to use it, and the only thing it's doing for me is that the Visa and the MasterCard logo on it. And all it's doing is showing my behaviors. It's showing my pattern. Okay, great. She paid her car payment 2 months in a row on time, 3 months in a row on time. This is what they're looking for. They're looking for your patterns, your behaviors. Okay, when they look at this. So that's why you get so many of those pre-approvals in the mail. It gets annoying. I agree. I wind up throwing a lot of, wind up throwing them all in the trash. But at least that's a good indicator that you're doing something correct with your finances, that you are being money-minded when you get those pre-approvals. That does not mean, though, keep in mind, for everyone, that does not mean that you're totally approved for it. Okay. Again, pre-qualified is a different situation. That's when you reach out to them to see if they would approve you for XYZ, car loan, personal loan, a mortgage, or something like that. And how far you're willing to go is when they would get into running your credit score or not. Okay. So getting a pre-approval for a mortgage, I was looking at this, I like this, is an essential step to home buying process, primarily because you receive that pre-approval letter from the lender indicating your tentative approval for a mortgage loan for a specific amount. And that's what I was saying earlier. So if you were approved to get a mortgage for $200,000, if you went to Rocket Mortgage, put all your information in, they will send you a pre-qualified letter, pre-approval letter, saying that you're approved for up to $200,000. Okay. That does not say that you are approved for that amount, but just by them looking at your credit history and your payments and stuff, they're saying, hey, we'll take a risk on him or her, and this is how much she can afford. And obviously it has to have some kind of your income in there as well when they look at that, to be able to see. Okay. So keep that in mind. It is a good thing to have. You know where you stand. Your realtor knows where you stand. And actually, if you have one of these pre-approval letters or pre-qualified letters, especially for a mortgage, a realtor is definitely more apt to work harder for you to be able to find you a home. Pre-approval for a car loan lets you know how much money you can borrow so you can get your car loan. It will help you negotiate. And we've been talking about the pre-approval for your credit card that comes in the mail. Pre-approval for a personal loan. It's the same way it is with a credit card. Okay. So if you want to be a pre-approved for a personal loan, I get those too from different banks. You're able to borrow up to X amount of dollars. Your payment will be this for this many years, or you've been pre-approved to borrow up to this amount of money, which is great. And again, a lot of people love these things. They get these things. But it's also an easy way to get in debt if you are not money-minded. If you just go out and borrow this money, you get this loan and you don't pay your bill. So you want to be careful. Okay. Again, pre-approval offers, they generally do not affect your credit score because they're not running your numbers. It doesn't come until they actually run it. So there's no damage to your score. of certainty when you get a pre-approval letter. Lenders complete complete your lenders complete for your business rather than searching for potential credit cards to apply for. The beauty of pre-approval is knowing what lenders already know about you. And I see that too when I use Credit Karma, and when I go on there and I check it, it tells me all the at the bottom all these credit cards that you're approved for this one, you approved for this one. This is the best credit card for you. This works for you. Again, pre-approval does not hurt you. Again, another thing that I talked looks for promotion. So when you get those pre-approvals, if they have good promotions, that 0% interest for 16, for, I don't know, I keep saying 16, such a weird number, 12 months or 18 months, they wouldn't do 16, 12 or 18 or 24 months. Sometimes around tax time, if you think about it, people, usually go out and buy furniture, those big items, TVs and whatnot. And we got a place here in Utica called Carl's Furniture. And the commercial's popping in my head. No interest. Or Joe T. Hands is another one. No money or no pay no interest for 2 years, things like that. Those kind of places do that. Maybe a rent-to-own place or something like that will do that for you. Again, if you don't run your credit, it's just a pre-approval. It's just an advertisement, and it won't hurt you. Okay. It says here, let's see, the bottom line, a pre-approval isn't a guarantee for a new credit card, but it can help you determine whether you're likely to be approved or not. If not, take steps to optimize your credit before you even apply. Keep your revolving debt balance low, make consistent and on-time payments, and limit how many times you get your credit score run. All these things will help you to keep your credit low, your debt low, and you will be able to start, your credit score will go up, and you will be able to see more and more of these pre-approval letters in the mail. Okay. And they will come to you, and it will make your, a little bit easier. Again, but if you do, just don't take it and run with it and go out and spend, get yourself into more debt than what you need to be. All right. So that's my spiel on pre-approval and being pre-qualified. Thank you again for listening tonight, being with me. If you have any other questions, message me, any concern, anything you want to talk about, learn more about, hit me up, and I'll be more than happy to discuss it. Thank you. Everybody have a great night, and Lord's willing, we'll be back with you on next Friday night. God bless.